Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott, I'm the Emperor of Stomaria, and today I want to talk about the ongoing development and expansion of our micronational empire. So for those that don't know, the Empire of Stomaria is a micronation of micronations. Stomaria is a micronation in its own right, but we have other micronations that have come to us and joined us to form a part of our empire as observer states, as associated states, eventually as protectorates, and this is all in addition to our own provinces. And between them, all of these different territories, all of these different kinds of micronation that have come together to build something larger than they would otherwise be able to do by themselves, is what the Empire of Stomaria is. It is the combination of all of these micronations with common values and common objectives. It's not about creating a homogeneous empire in the sense that we expect everyone to adhere to the same customs, the same traditions, the same identity. We are all Stomarians, but at the same time, they are also Waywoodians, they are Salassians, they are Morelandians with their own unique cultures and identities. And in the recent video that we did, A Micronation of Micronations, you can see this very clearly in the different customs, the different dress, the different locations, the slighter variation in the goals and aspirations that they have. But we have enough common ground between us in order to come together to build something that will last, something generational and something meaningful. And this is what Stomaria, from the outset, has been about. We have been about trying to change our little part of the world. And if we can get more people involved who are themselves the leaders of their own micronations, then that just adds credence to our cause. And this is something that we have been pushing for quite significantly, particularly in the last 6 months. It started with the Kingdom of Wayward becoming an associated state. Now, the Kingdom of Wayward was a long-term ally and friend of Stomaria long before they became an associated state, but they did eventually become associated state after I had a conversation about it, or several conversations about it, with King Raoul. The Kingdom of Norwick was the next one, which became an observer state, followed by the Princedom of Moreland, who became an ally of Stomaria, but then became an observer state. But I think just before that, Molossia actually became an observer state before Moreland, but we had relations with Moreland before we did Molossia. Now, Moreland, Molossia, and Wayward in particular, I have a lot of time for, because they are very, very active and very, very passionate about what we're trying to do. We have now quite regular video call meetings, normally the first week of each month at this point. We are expecting to have another one in the next few weeks, because we're having a surprise guest, which is another micronational leader from another micronation based in the British Isles that we are looking to establish a genuine trading relationship with. And they have expressed, again, very enthusiastic a very enthusiastic drive in order to promote this sort of trade network and real-world community that we're trying to establish. And so we're very hopeful that this will pan out. And if it does, we will, and when I say we, I mean the imperial family and the royal family of Stomaria and Wayward respectively. So the two families will be paying a state visit to this other micronation, depending on how everything plays out. But that would be great if we could establish formal relations with another micronation in the British Isles, even if they're not necessarily an observer state or an associated state or a protectorate or whatever else. We are still open to alliances with other micronations that don't necessarily want to be incorporated into Stomaria in the same way that others have. What matters to us is whether or not they can play a part in the real world community and the trade network that we're looking to establish, whether or not they're serious about trying to establish their own culture, their own identity, their own sort of de facto independence. And this is something that I have touched on before in another video called, what was it? Simulationists and secessionists, I think it was, or vice versa. But in that, I sort of go over the different types of micronation, the different types of micronationalism there is, out there. Because people can form micronations for whatever reason they like. And for us, our particular brand of micronationalism is what I think is the kind of micronationalism that I think someone from the outside looking in would assume a micronation to be. A community of people looking to build a real world community, looking to build a trade network, looking to have a sort of de facto independence, perhaps striving for sovereignty, but not being sovereign in their own right. Whereas a lot of micronations, they're a bit gimmicky, they're, meme micronations, they're kids in their parents' backyard and flying a flag, they're campaigning on a particular issue, be it the environment or democracy or human rights or gay rights or something in their respective micronation. And that's all fine, to each their own and all the rest of it. But those aren't the sorts of micronations that we are looking to attract and build relations with, because we're looking to do something, in our opinion, a lot more significant, a lot more meaningful. In the sense that, we are trying to accomplish, what a micronation on the face of it, it says on the tin. So again, this is just our version, our brand of micronationalism that we're looking to promote, and attracting those sorts of micronations and micronationalists that aspire to do the same thing as what we're doing is actually a lot harder than you might actually think, because very few micronations actually have that sort of passion, that drive, that enthusiasm, that determination to actually accomplish what you might think a micronation would be looking to accomplish. But with the micronations that we have involved so far, we're off to an absolutely terrific start. In the meeting that I had night before last at this point, with Queen Neve of Selassie, King Raoul of Wayward, and Prince Alexander of Moreland, we had various sort of topics to go over, various conversations were had, but one of them was where I was sat watching as King Raoul and Queen Neve actually discussed right before my eyes, hashing out a trade deal, a trade agreement, where sort of unique, special, quite relatively rare feathers, skulls, antlers, bones, that sort of thing from Wayward would be sold or traded or exchanged with Selassie, who themselves either have a use for it themselves or have people they know that could make use of them. And, this is fantastic, because this is just, I know it seems small, it seems very minor, but this is always going to be the issue. Everything will start small. Everything will start on a very low-key, not even necessarily cost-effective level, but the symbolic gesture from the outset is what matters at this time, and then we can build on that. And so, there was talks of Raoul from Wayward travelling over to Jersey, and then travelling over to France, and then travelling over to North Germany to meet Queen Neve and Selassie there, or meeting in France some way halfway, to have that meeting, to have that community, to interact with each other in the real world, to exchange products, to exchange gifts. And also, King Raoul actually sent Prince Alexander a dozen eggs. I think, as I understand it, 3 of them got broken, but 9 of them successfully reached Jersey, and now they have eggs. So again, that was a wonderful gesture, a wonderful gift, but it's just another example of micronations interacting with one another within Stomaria without my involvement. And long term, that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see micronations engaging in their own commercial enterprises. I want to see micronations engaging in their own trade networks and trading relationships with one another without me having to organize things from the top down. And with the additional production of Stomarian status, which we're hoping to do later in the year, the amount of coinage in circulation will be gradually increased, and this will be the medium of exchange. I mean, this is one of the things that ties all of these micronations together, is the utilization of the silver Stomarian stata as a form of sound money, to instead of bartering eggs for feathers or for, you know, wines and beers and honeys and jams and whatever else, using the Stomarian stata as a form of sound money is one of the core themes of Stomaria. And, you know, it will, towards the end of this year, be more heavily circulated between the micronations within Stomaria and those aligned with Stomaria in a formal capacity. And this is all very exciting for us. So I think what I wanted to sort of get out there is that Stomaria's development, Stomaria's expansion, it's not a case of, you know, we have so many Facebook followers or YouTube followers or so many likes or so many upvotes or whatever else. That's so irrelevant in the great scheme of things. What matters, what's truly important, is what's happening out here in the real world. And what's happening out here in the real world is very exciting, because we're doing what micronations don't typically do. In the sense that, I mean, there are obviously the OG, the creme de la creme, the sort of the old guard of micronations, you know, the ones that attend MicroCon, the ones that have a more significant presence in more traditional media, you know, so Molossia or Westarctica or Ostentasia or whatever else. But the idea of these sort of up-and-coming micronations trying to establish a meaningful community, trade network and all the rest of it, trying to build these identities in the communities and customs and traditions in a more organic way, is it's something that's not particularly common. I mean, you have to go on, you know, Reddit or Facebook or Discord or Twitter or whatever else, and you do see these micronations making these grand declarations of alliances and you know, cooperation and joining another micronational organization or setting up another micronational organization, or, you know, agreeing in principle to come to each other's defense, or mutual recognition treaties or something like that. But it's all just jargon. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't translate into anything physical or actual or genuine. And this has always been an issue, I think, in the micronational community, is that it is, for the most part, all talk. Nothing ever happens. And this is why a lot of people do see Stomaria as, and the micronations within Stomaria, as, you know, viable alternatives. This is why people get excited when they see some of the content that we put out there. I mean, you know, our, you know, YouTube videos, you know, some of the most popular ones are when I do go out to visit other micronational leaders, when I do have something major to announce in terms of meetings, or when I, you know, introduce new micronational leaders. And it's all, you know, again, it's just very exciting. In fact, our recent video on Micronation and Micronations is now one of our most popular, if not the most popular videos of this year, and I think it will quickly overtake previous videos as well, because it showcases the people within Stomaria, the faces within Stomaria. And again, this is another big issue, another big gripe of mine, is that I know it can often be justified for one reason or another, but micronations without a face, without a personality, without someone there to say, I am the leader of this micronation, I'm the highest authority of this micronation, I just don't trust them. It's as simple as that. I can't trust a micronation or micronational organization or anything like that if I can't put a name to a face. I need to know who's behind a micronation in order to be able to trust them. And I think a lot of people may struggle with this, because a lot of micronational leaders, I suspect, are young. They're you know, children or adolescents, and that's the primary reason why they don't put themselves out there. It's why they don't make YouTube videos. It's why they don't have photos of themselves in uniforms. And whenever you do see a photo of a, you know, member of the younger generation in a uniform or something, it's normally very ill-fitted and a bit yeah. But, they're trying. It is, a step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, it's just one of those things where people compare, or people have compared sort of the video contents, the dress, the attire, the sort of uniforms, and the age of the Micronations and the Micronationalists within Stomaria, and then compare that to what you might be used to, what they might be used to, and they can see the stark difference. And this isn't to sort of big up Stomaria in directly. It's just a simple fact. There's just a lot of micronations out there, but not a lot of actual real-world activity compared to the vast number around. And we're one of the few that are actually doing something. You probably count on one hand how many active, regular, active like YouTube channels or anything like that with micronations and micronational content being regularly posted, either sort of daily or weekly or whatever else. And those that do are very often low quality, quite memey and quite funny. But there's very few genuine micronationalists out there doing what we are doing, and that's quite good in the sense that obviously it makes us quite a niche and interesting micronation for people to research and look into, but it also does make expansion quite difficult because we have to weed out a lot of people in order to find those diamonds in the rough, I suppose, because they are few and far between. I mean, there's only so many micronations out there that will fill the sort of relatively strict criteria that we have in even formally associating as an ally, much less an observer state or an associated state or even a protectorate. But the gradual expansion of Stomaria is, picking up speed. As I said, we went from nothing sort of 6 months ago to having now, 3 observer states and an associated state, as well as Stomaria itself. The micronations involved, their citizen numbers, particularly in the last few months, in the case of Kingdom of Wayward in particular, has skyrocketed. And, with the incorporation of more micronations into Stomaria, Norwick or Slowjamastan or Moreland or Wayward, all of their citizens are the citizens of their own respective micronations, but they're also the citizens of Stomaria. Now, what you might call pure Stomarian citizens, people who just join Stomaria without affiliating with other micronations, those numbers are also on the increase. And that's also great to see. So it's a very exciting time for us. It's very exciting to see where things are going to be going during the remainder of this year. And I think what I would like to say is that sort of the message of this video is that if you are interested in becoming a part of something larger, if you are interested in becoming a part of something real and genuine and lasting and generational, not just a 6-month-long project which dies out when the head of that micronation gets bored and moves on with their lives, then let us know, get in touch, because we are interested in incorporating more micronations into the Empire of Stomaria. We are interested in having more micronations ally with Stomaria, assuming they meet certain criteria. We are interested in having more people join Stomaria as citizens, even if they don't have an affiliation with another micronation. And I am interested in encouraging others to join, if not Stomaria, the other micronations that make up Stomaria, because they have their own Patreons or systems, ways of having citizens join them. And when you join Slowjamastan or Moreland or Wayward or Norwick, you are also joining Stomaria by default, because you will be a Morelandian and a Stomarian, you'll be a Waywardian and a Stomarian, you'll be a Slowjamastan and a Stomarian, and so on and so forth. So it's like I said, this video is very much about just briefly covering our development and our expansion over the last few months, and I am hoping over the next 6 months or so we are going to ramp up things even further. I am hoping for more alliances, I'm hoping for more micronations to become incorporated in Stomaria, but again, I am not going to sacrifice quality for quantity, and this is something that has been brought up in our last meeting, and consequently some micronations that we were talking about forming more formal relations with, they did fall through because the micronations within Stomaria, or the representatives, the leaders of the micronations within Stomaria, they reaffirmed their commitment to keeping Stomaria as a professional outfit, as in, you know, we don't take ourselves too seriously all the time, obviously, but our message, our goals, our ambitions, our drive, that is genuine, that is real. And if we feel that a micronation cannot add to that, cannot contribute to that, then there is no point in taking those affiliations any further, because it just will do us no favors. If it's not mutually beneficial in the real world, then what is the point? If affiliating with a micronation for the sake of affiliation is all there is to offer, then we're not interested in it. We want something genuine, we want something impactful, we want something real. That is what Stomaria is. It is a real micronation. That is what the micronations within Stomaria are, that make up its empire. They are real micronations, with real people, with real voices, and you can see them talking, and I just can't get over how incredibly rare it is, like I said, outside of the sort of the old guard, or, you know, for you know, more conventional media covering particular micronations who are already well known themselves. It's just so rare to see sort of up and coming micronations being seen this way. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. It was a little bit of almost a rant, I suppose. Not like a passionate dialogue to you all, to encourage you to get involved, because this is something that I think is going to take off relatively quickly and relatively rapidly, but we need the right people. And if you think you are that right person, then just get in touch and let us know. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to become a part of the Stomarian community, then please go and join as a Stomarian citizen through our Patreon campaign, the link of which I shall leave in the description below as always. You can also find out more about the other micronations that make up Stomaria, their details, links to their websites, their Patreons and all the rest of it. They are also in the description below. But if you did enjoy this video, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.